Hello and welcome to the program once again, Whispers from the Soul. And today, on today's program of Life After Life, which is what this program in particular is called, we have another ND, but this time we're going all the way to Canada. And we're going to talk to a lady called Julia Evans. Hello, Julia.
Hello, nice to meet you, Peter. Thank you for inviting me onto your show.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and effort and energy for coming here and telling your story and what happened to you in your life and how it's changed your life since then. So let's go straight into the details. What exactly happened to you for you to go to the other side and see what you saw, and then we'll go into what you saw.
Okay, I like how you phrase that. I've done a few podcasts and people want me to jump right in. And I know with doing different talks and whatnot, people are like, dive right in. Like, I want to know about the light. I want to know about this and that. But you're right. There's so much more leading up to that moment that cascades you into that relief
Yeah.
of your existing life, of what you are experiencing. So I'm just going to do a little history, just a quick little history. It actually goes way back when my mother died in 1983. So I was 3 years old, and she died in the center, like in our basement, or not in our basement, but a floor beneath me.
Right.
She was 25 years old and had an aneurysm, so in her brain. Now, why is that significant? Because when we get to my near-death experience, it's so significant. My whole life, ever since I was a small child, I mean, you're learning your core beliefs before you're age 5. And so it's not about abandonment, but it was this huge spiritual awakening for me at that young age. Yes, my mother wasn't physically with me, but I remember when she passed and she sat beside my bed and gifted me something that I've now transpired into who I am today. It took me a long time to get there, but there's elements, a little girl, a little boy, people need their mama, right? And
Yeah.
as we're even doing this podcast a few days prior to Mother's Day, it's a huge day for me because I'm a mom, but I've lost a mom. Anyways, I'm going to digress because that's not what this is about. I learned something spiritual that day. I saw a light from my mother, and she always transpired into like this butterfly to like help me on my path and kind of leading me into this destined path over and over again throughout my entire existence.
Right.
Now, leading up to that, there's things that we go through in our lives.
Mm.
So at that age 3, I saw things that I can't unsee. At age 3, I saw things in the Western world that broke my little heart.
Mm.
And I saw a woman who was struggling, who was in pain. And that Western medicine field was like, one, you're a housewife, you don't really have education, you don't really know what's happening to your body. So that's why she was pushed to go home and died at home in my father's arms with her 2 kids in the house. Devastating. And in that moment, I was like, and I'm going to do a plug to my book. This is about I wrote a book about not just this, but my NDE. And that's how I opened up my book as well, as when my mother
It's
passed.
all related in the end, isn't it? So,
Yeah. But it was that moment where I'm like, I have to be a nurse. I have to help heal people. I see what's happening in the environment right now of like that sorrow, and they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to express emotions. And there's all
yeah.
these levels.
Yeah.
So knowing that my whole childhood into the teenage years, high school, and I had this passion to become a nurse. So I did. I became a nurse. I started a family. I learned the essence of what it was to be a nurse. I went into nursing strictly to help people, not just like, let me fix your boo-boo or, do stuff like that. But there was another element to it that I wanted more because of what I experienced for people. So I listened to people at a more deeper level.
Right.
Little did I know that I was helping everyone else out, and I was not helping myself out. And I always put myself last. And I didn't, that actually hindered my physical body, my mental. It exhausted me. And so not only the burnout of being a registered nurse, but the burnout of that home life and the sport. And it's just like being a mom, and it wore on me. And I ended up getting diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2014, and went through a series of very hard times with that, because the path that I wanted to be on wasn't necessarily the path that I was living.
Yeah.
And so that communication center within your nervous system was eating away at me. I couldn't communicate what I needed to communicate. I did get progressively worse and progressively worse, and yet still went to work. Even on the days I couldn't walk, I would take my cane, put it in my locker, and just take every ounce and every little bit of energy left to go and be there for my patients, because that's what I found that I needed to do to help my clients, to help my patients on their journey. And I put myself way, way, way in the back corner.
So many people do that. So many people.
Yeah.
We don't
And maybe
realize
a
it.
lot of people can relate to this.
Yeah.
So as I was doing that, I'm still pushing myself. There was things leading up. So I talked to my husband at the time that my illness was getting so bad that I needed to figure out what the next step was.
Right.
Seeing the stages of what happens when you're a nurse, right? Like seeing what I've experienced. So I set out these stages and I said, okay, I don't want to be a burden, because if my heart fails, I'm probably not going to be here to help anybody. And so my family and I decided to be a do not resuscitate, so a DNR. It's a big decision, especially because I was so young, but I was getting that sick. Like, it was just progressing so fast, even though no one else could see it. It was like living hell within my body. And I still kept pushing and pushing. Now, 2 weeks prior to my near-death experience, I'm laying on the couch, and all of a sudden I hear something, a voice. Was it God? Was it my mom? I have no idea. Was it my higher self? I can't tell you that. All I can say is I heard, and I got goosebumps to the nines here. But I heard this voice reverse the DNR. And I remember sitting up on the couch, and I said to my husband, we need to reverse this, like right now. I don't know why. And then we called the kids down and did scenarios. Okay, if mom collapses or something happens, what do we do? And they're like, do everything to save you. And I said, it was this moment of, it doesn't matter what I have in me. It's what I can have for everyone in me. And it was this, I have this purpose. And I couldn't really define that at that time. Just, I can't leave here because there's so much more I'm going to do. So 2 weeks passed, and I was coaching my son's baseball team, and they're so disappointed. And once again, you go into that pattern, like, oh, I want to like help you guys out, and I'm the head coach, and I feel really bad. So let's have this really spectacular practice, and I'm going to buy sugar for cotton candy. We're going to do cotton candy. We're going to do games. We're going to play with the parents. And I was trying to lighten their world, because I saw that devastation, just like very similar to that devastation and that loss of like when my family lost my mom. It was just like, you can't even breathe anything in. So I leave the house. I say goodbye to my children. I walk over that threshold, the front door, and my life changed. I went to the gym, ran on the treadmill. That was probably the last time I ran on the treadmill. I went to work, put on my scrubs like any other day, wishing a girlfriend of mine happy birthday. So this would have been May 10th of 2018. So that anniversary is actually in 3 days for me here. I don't know when you're going to post this, but for me, as we're talking, it's coming up. May 10th was a really significant day, because as I was saying happy birthday to a friend alive here, but also somebody who had passed years prior, that she had been so bombarded with the stress of work that she took her own life. And she was my best friend in nursing school, and I wear her tattoo on my wrist. And I just energetically like, oh, just happy birthday. And I hope that you're in a really good space. So I walk up the stairs and I opened another door to the threshold into my unit. Why'd I use the word threshold? Because it was like walking into something, like it was stepping away from your old life and stepping in. And it's not, you're not being pulled, you're not being pushed, you're being guided. And so, oh, there's the goosebumps again. So I walk in and I look at a staff member. I do this every morning. Good morning. And as I'm saying good morning, I can actually feel this like tightening of my throat.
Right.
And I turn and face this way. And so the nurse in me does everything that we do a quick assessment, like quick, many years of doing this. I have a degree in this. Did I come in contact with anything? You're going through all the things. Did I eat something funny? You know, is there chemicals or something? And as I'm doing this quick assessment of me, I can feel it. It's like sandpaper down my throat, and it's getting harder and harder to breathe and harder to swallow. And I open my eyes, and right in front of me at the nursing station is lilies. These beautiful, stunning stargazer lilies. And as I just took a look at my dress, it's like a starry night. I didn't even realize I was wearing this. Oh, okay.
Everything happens for
But there was something, a message in those lilies. I'm allergic to them. It's never been anaphylactic. It's always been like I start coughing, I leave the environment, I either take some Ventolin, take some Benadryl, maybe go to my family physician to get some prednisone to help my lungs out. It hasn't been like it's knocked me out of this world allergy. It's just been an allergy.
Yeah.
But this time was different. Why? Because of other things that were leading me up to this moment.
Right.
I looked at the lilies and the lilies looked back at me. And stargazer lilies, the significance of that is they actually turn and look at the stars. They don't turn and look at the sun, but they actually turn and watch the stars. So sometimes when we're so involved in like helping everybody else up, we don't have that time to look up. Not about smelling the flowers, but looking up and breathing in life. And so this is when it's like, okay,
what's around you,
what's around you.
Yeah.
You just get fixated in like a day to keep going, go.
That's right.
And so I kind of grabbed my throat and I'm like, okay, like things are going down like really quick here. Could I have left? Absolutely. But that's when I had this push. No, you have to go forward. And so I'm like, somebody get these lilies out of here. I'm allergic to lilies. And I'm like, get these lilies out of here. Of course, people are looking at me like, are you wacko? Like, who's allergic to lilies?
Are you okay?
Yeah. And they're like, you just came on shift. Did you have enough coffee there, Nurse Julia? So I'm walking almost towards the lilies, just like a horror movie. Walk towards the light, you know, and you're walking towards them. Somebody's moving them out, but they've had 2 days to permeate that energy and that scent. It's a closed unit. There's no windows. And so it just was this energetic haze in that scent. Not everyone smelt it. I sure did. And so my body starts panicking. I walk past the nursing desk, and they were bought for us as a collective from the charge nurse. Is like, happy Nurses Week. You girls are just doing an amazing job. Like, there wasn't anything that was like malicious. It was just like, you guys are like the bee's knees. You guys are amazing. So I walked past and went into the lunchroom. And by this point, I was already turning blue. So the nurses kind of sporadically like went into action. Nobody touched me. One ran to call my husband at the time. One ran to get some medication, or like Benadryl actually was what she was grabbing. One grabbed a wheelchair, and then there's this other colleague, and she just sat there like a deer in headlights. So I'm doing this, staring at her, and she didn't know what to do, because she wasn't a nurse. She was one of our support staff. And as what I was feeling is I'm drowning in air. I'm drowning in what gives us life. And all sorts of emotions were going through my head.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it. And the door flung open, and I heard two nurses just yelling at each other, because we normally don't have emergency situations like this. This is out of the ordinary for our unit. We're an outpatient unit. And they're like, should we take her to emerge? Like, what should we do? Should we call a code? So like, you know, when you hit the wall, what should we do? And they're yelling. Now, no one to this day knows who pressed that button on the wall, but that voice over the entire hospital, just code blue, and then it announced the unit. And so that's when I took like basically my last breath, and I got my ass to the wheelchair. And so as soon as that announcement came on, the doors flung open of the procedure rooms. And one of my best friends, I mean, we have best friends in nursing, right? Or like best friends at work. But she opened, and of course she swore, and she's like, it's Julia Evans. And so another physician, which was a friend of mine too, and they both looked at each other, and we all kind of locked eyes, and it was the sheer look of panic.
Of course, yeah.
And so she went running down the hall to get me into a bed, because there's nothing you can do right now. Like, now time is of the essence. I am blue. I'm losing my airway. Like, I'm in nursing, we call it hypoxic. So there's no airway coming in or out.
Yeah.
The physician's running, and he's got a vial with him of medication to help me.
Right.
And we didn't even get the bed down. And I, on my last breath, laid into the stretcher, and I opened my arms like that corpse pose, you know, Shavasana in yoga.
Yeah.
And I just surrendered to it. Like, either I'm dying or I'm going to live. I didn't know, but here I go. And the physician on the left side starts an IV, and he pushes a drug in. That's when the code team came, and they start bagging me. And I remember opening my mouth, like I thought they were going to put a tube down my throat to like get the oxygen into it, because I was that swollen. But I had locked eyes with the physician, knowing what was going into my arm.
Yeah.
But it was the way he looked at me. It was the wrong dose of epinephrine. And so I started breathing, and they were bagging me, and what I did start breathing, and I sat up. So I was given 10 times the amount of epinephrine. So the one that you put in the leg,
yeah,
it's a different concentration.
Right.
And so that got put right into my vein, that went right into my heart.
Right.
So it exploded my heart, and not like a grenade, like it didn't go, but it caused such a agitation, and it just like, how can I say it? I don't know if you have this in Spain, but there was a character, the Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, that guy, and it's just like so intense, and it's just so much adrenaline. That's how I felt. And I sat up, and I was just like, yeah, everybody get away from me. And I was just like, oh, like, what is happening to me? Like, now I'm breathing, like I'm good. I'm breathing, and I could like take over the world. But then it switched, because that wasn't the right amount of epinephrine. So then my body started reacting. I remember taking my glasses and threw them. I took my lanyard of keys and I threw them. I took my warm-up jacket off and I threw it, and I'm just in scrubs, and I'm screaming at everybody. Somebody cut my clothes off. I'm going down. Get the pads on me. I'm going down. I'm going down. And I still, Peter, couldn't think of myself in that time. I'm freaking dying. And I couldn't think of myself.
I'm still thinking about others.
Right. And I start running the code. So there's 30 people around me, of colleagues from other units, trying to help me. They're spiking bags. They're making sure, like, this is not your average day at work. This, I think, would be a really crappy day. But I start moving patients, and I'm like, the patient that's right in front of me, I'm like, get him out of the way. He's going to get PTSD. He's going to be traumatized. Get this person out. You do this. Go run for this. I was making sure that everybody else was okay. And then it switched again. And I was just like, and then the pain. And I started screaming, and they thought I was having a heart attack because of the
Right.
epinephrine, not knowing that it was the wrong dose. And at the time, I want to say I don't know if the physician actually knew that it was the wrong dose.
Right.
I don't ever blame him because so things happen because they need to happen.
Yeah.
But at the time, no one knew that I had that much epinephrine. So they're spraying nitroglycerin in my mouth. They're trying to do whatever they can. One nurse is like, "It's okay, I've had epinephrine." And I wanted to say, "Shut up, like this is not like a little prick in the finger. This like my whole body's erupting." Then I felt it, the back of my head. And the back of my head felt like it was blowing away. And so as I said about my girlfriend who had died, it was her birthday. That's how she killed herself, is she shot herself. And it was like I felt her pain and I felt that. And then it's also very significant because my dad had remarried and my mom died in my arms in 2005. So 9 years prior to that. Or sorry, not 9 years. I can't even do the math right now. So 2005, this was 2018, 13 years.
13 years.
Oh, that's the first time I did that math. But 13 years prior, my mom died of a heart attack and she drowned on that day. So now I'm living that and I'm feeling her heart pain.
Yeah.
And I'm also feeling how my biological mom would have died.
Yeah.
With that brain aneurysm and in her heart. And I'm feeling everybody else's pain. And then I felt mine. And I said, the pain is like 20 out of 10, not that pain scale of 0 and 10. No, this is like 20 out of pain.
Where was it? In the chest, your pain?
It started in my chest, but then it hit the back of my head.
Right.
And that's when I looked at the blood pressure machine.
Right.
And the blood pressure machine, my heart rate was already at 280 beats per minute.
Blimey.
And I mean, I was running on the treadmill that morning and my normal pulse is 54. So it's a big, like I was, other than MS, I was a very healthy woman. I took very, very good care of myself. And my blood pressure went through the roof. I honestly can't even remember what the blood pressure was at. And they turned the blood pressure machine so I couldn't see it. And then I fell back into the stretcher and I grabbed my girlfriend's hand and I looked in her eyes. She was the one that brought me on in the chair to the stretcher. And I had to lock eyes with her and make sure, because I knew I was dying. It's this moment where you just, now you know. But it's so peaceful when you accept that, now I know. And so I had to make sure that she was okay with what she was about to see. And I told her, make sure my kids are okay. Make sure my husband is okay, and call Marie, which is another nursing friend of ours, because she had my living will. She knew I was a DNR. But it happened so quick. So once I locked eyes with her, and then it was like everything just slowly, calmly went away. And I looked this way to the blood pressure machine and I died. And my girlfriend had said, you went from like blue to this like white and then gray of death. So that's what's happening in this realm. But then this is where the near-death experience was. Everybody's like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. Right? And I've learned that with podcasts.
But this is really important because it's linked to what happened before, to your mother and all your.
But a lot of people don't see it. And it's interesting because it was my experience. And so all of it is relevant. Like there's even more detail, but all of it is so relevant to this one particular moment in time. So at first I went into like this dark area and I call it blank consciousness. It's that sixth sense opens up. You know you're somewhere else. Yeah. But there's nothing. Like there's nothing of you. You don't have a body, you don't have organs, you don't have senses. All you know is that you're somewhere else.
You know you exist.
And
that's it. You just know your existence.
You're just there.
Yeah.
And is it a holding ground? It's not purgatory, it's blank consciousness. Everything's blank. It's so dark, but it's darker than what you could ever expect.
Yeah.
or ever imagine. And even in my book, I'd even said, like, maybe I was in the light and I wasn't ready to receive it. Are my eyes open? Are they closed shut? Do I have eyes? And then I had this moment where I was like, but where am I? Like, then the fear kind of set in. Like, I went through this chaos, but this is so calm, but so dark. Did somebody forget about me? And I wanted to cry, but I had no eyes. And I felt it in my heart, and my heart just wanted to weep. But I didn't have a heart. It's just this area right here, like that, my energy source. And as I felt like I started to weep, that's when I heard distinctively my mother's voice. And she said, "It's okay, honey, mommy's here. Don't cry." And then right when I heard that, it was a boom, and I got defibrillated back. And now I'm in this world, but I'm not in my body. And so I'm hovering over my body. And I would say it's a good, like, probably 2 feet over my body. I'm watching everybody work on me. I can see myself. And like, now I can see the frantic, like, I've ran codes, I don't know how many times in my career, but to be on this end of it and to watch this side, when people are like, "Julia, squeeze my hands," like smacking my feet, "Come on, breathe." Physicians that you never thought ever had emotion in them are bawling.
Yeah.
And they're just pleading, "Come on, Julia, breathe, breathe. Come on, breathe." And it was so emotional and so chaotic. And I remember seeing the garbage and I didn't want to be there.
Mm.
I didn't want to be in the chaos. I didn't want to be what they were experiencing. And I had senses, but not all of them. Like, I didn't have that sense of touch yet. And I distinctly remember pleading to a higher power, just take me back. Whatever that darkness was is way more calmer than this. This is crazy. And I begged and I begged and I begged. I didn't want to be there. And I mean, I could talk probably hours on what that few minutes of hovering over my body was. It was horrific. It was like being in this world and not being in yourself.
Yeah.
And seeing how much of you gave to everyone else was hell.
Yeah.
It was awful. And I just begged to go back. And then it just started fading away. And I remember hearing, "We lost her again." But then this time, when they said we lost her again, they brought, that's when the light shone. But it's not like it's just light. There's so much love that love radiates a light like no other.
Sorry to interrupt. Is it just like you get to a moment where you just understand everything?
Yes.
It just like that.
Yeah.
You don't know how, you don't know why, you don't know, because you don't, as you said, you don't have a physical body, you don't have no one talking to you or you talking to anyone. You just know instantly.
You just know.
Everything.
Yeah. Of everything.
Yeah, everything.
And yet nothing.
Yeah, and yet
everything.
Yeah. Although you're still in a realm that you don't understand because you've just got there, but you know and feel everything. You it's like an understanding. That's what I'm not saying it from experience, because obviously I haven't had an MD, but I've heard it so many times in like different steps towards that realm. There's different phases towards that realm, and
some NDEs I've heard, like, because I talk to different people. Apparently, it's not that big of a group. To me, I'm like, doesn't everybody go through this? No. But some people, they don't either remember the light or they don't want to bring it in either, right?
Yeah, there's different experiences. Yeah, there's different phases, and each person. There are lots of factors that are common, but there are other factors that are different in each one. And personally, this is my personal opinion of what from hearing so many interviews and so many people talking about this, actual NDEs. I believe that your personal experience here has in some effect, the effect on what you see there.
100%. Just like, because I had lost my mom at such a young age, I heard her, because that was the biggest heartbreak that I had.
Of course.
in
Yeah.
my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And so I needed to heal that
Yeah.
and know in my heart that she was always with me.
Yeah.
See, there's those goosebumps. So she literally just passed by me again. Actually, there's a feather just dropped on my floor.
Yeah. That's
Right? You
knows what
can't
was
you
there.
can't make that up.
No, no,
Yeah,
no, no, no. I know
yeah.
perfectly.
Whew.
I know what you mean because it's happened to me. I
Yeah.
know. I,
So I get into the light, and like you said, it's just you know all of it,
yeah.
but it's so much love, and you're gifted the greatest gift, and it's self-love, and it's just like this gift, but then you can like give it and
Mm,
receive it, but
mm,
that whole time you are the light.
mm.
You have become this wholeness for all. And it's just like this connection, and you see it that you're actually connected to all, and all is connected to you. And it's like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's your Big Bang theory, if you want to say it that way. That's
Yeah.
that realization. But in that light, there's also people that have passed,
Yeah.
and I saw like my mom's, my aunts, I saw my dog.
Yeah.
I saw the important people that left before me.
Yeah.
They were there. And it felt like an eternity
Yeah.
being there, and you just absorbed it all. You can probably see the light is changing. Every time I talk about it, the light changes. I don't even have any lights on in this place. But then I heard it again, and it was clear. You know that click. And so this time I felt it. Like I felt this thud, and then I was like smack, like right back into my body. And I felt it. That was like, I don't know if you say that's your rock bottom. Like I'm back. Oh.
Yeah.
So then I'm in my body. I know I'm in my body. I know I'm not wherever I was, but I know life will never be the same.
Yeah.
And that's where the tunnel came in. But the tunnel was like this tunnel vision of what I perceived was the light before
Right.
had reversed. And I looked up, and there was this image, because somebody said, I looked down, and I was completely naked. Like this image is at the end of my bed.
Right.
And in my conscious brain, because I know I'm in my body now,
Okay.
I knew that it's the charge nurse from emergency department. I knew that. He has this long, luscious hair that he always wears up in this beautiful bun, and every woman hates him for it because he has the greatest hair.
Look.
Right? Yeah. Oh, see? Exactly, like yours, Peter. But he has it up here.
I
And
have it down
so
here.
I'm looking at him, but he has his arms open. And so it's that feeling like, is that Jesus? Am I supposed to follow him? Am I supposed to go his way to like righteousness? Like, am I done? Am I done this? Like, am I done here? What do
Yeah.
I do? And then there was that other toy, or that other conversation in my brain. Maybe that's Buddha. Like maybe I have hit nirvana. Now I've reached that other level. What is this? And both of them are actually both hemispheres of your brain.
Yeah.
Like that whimsical part and also that analytical part. Which one am I experiencing? I am actually experiencing both. And so it felt like there was this choice of, do I follow somebody else? Does somebody else have to lead me to this?
Yeah.
But I instinctively looked down. And that's when I noticed I was completely naked. And my first reaction, you say the weirdest things when you come back, is, who cut my blue bra? Who cut my favorite bra? And I was really mad because like, I don't even know the words coming out of my mouth. And so this image at the end of my bed raises his hands, and he goes, she's back. Inappropriate behavior, she's back. Because nurses are terrible for inappropriate speech. And he's like, she's back. And I looked at him, and now I can kind of see, like, he's the charge nurse that has the luscious hair. And I'm like, back from what? And I can't like comprehend what's happening in my world. And this woman puts her hand on me. And so she's a little ICU nurse, and she goes, I brought you back. And so I put my hand on her, and I looked at her. Now her name is Cheryl. And that's my mom's name. And so Cheryl actually turned into, like, she transformed into my mom.
Yeah.
And it was my mom talking to me.
Yeah.
And my mom says, I brought you back. Like, this is the first time I could touch her in years,
Yeah.
since 1983. And I can touch her. And then from there, I look down and then I see the pads on me, like the defibrillation pads. And then I keep following the cords, and then I look at the machine, and then I follow the machine of the other cords, and I see all like the leads and the stickers because they're monitoring my heart. And in my head, it's like, it was like life just slowed down so much that I had to get my understanding, like, yeah, you know now, but now you have to understand your actual world. And so I'm like I was the code.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, so that was the light. And it wasn't a tunnel where it's dark and light around it.
Yeah.
It was like this tiny little area of light.
Yeah.
And then it was like this extra set of lights, like halogen lights, like big lights turning on. And they were really slow. And it was like another layer of consciousness. And it was like, and then I could see a little bit more. And as I'm waking up, so is my conscious mind. And so are my senses. And so, like, when I came back, the first thing I sent, like my first scent was burning, like a house fire. And it took me years and years to realize it was the smell of my burnt skin.
Oh.
That associated with the alcohol swabs. Right? And so, like, there's all these, and I mean, those I talk about in my other books that are coming out. That's a whole other thing. But like, your senses are coming into fruition. All of them, the touch, and then another layer. And I'm looking around at all the staff around me. They're still crying and like what just happened. And I remember looking beside me, the opposite of this cute little ICU nurse. And I look at the girl who had put the pads and the leads on my chest, monitoring like my EKG. And I noticed a locket that she's wearing. And it was like I could see her. And then because I was still in the veil, and I could see all of the people that passed before her. And she has her grandparents in her locket. And I didn't know that I didn't know, but I knew. And I said, oh, you wear your grandparents right here. Oh, they're right behind you and they support you. And she's like, what? And then we go to the next person. And I was like, okay, like, and I knew his lineage, but then I could see everybody's lineage. It was like not just the people who passed before me, but it was the connection to all of them, and they were connected to me. And it was like this ripple effect. And then it kept opening more and more. And I described it as a child.
Yeah.
When they draw a sun and they do the sunbeams.
Yeah.
Right. And no matter what direction, it's still always coming back to like lighting up the world, like it's lighting up.
That's right.
Once I realized that like that is actually me in the bed and I'm not running the code. It was like this other realization, like, holy, I said not very nice things, like I'm taking the day off.
Yeah, no, it's quite
right.
You were just
and I said, like, I think I'm going to take the rest of the day off because I think I need a break.
Have to just
right? Like, it was so. you don't realize the words coming out, not very nice, some of them. And so they took me to the emergency, and that's where, like, there's another element of that story. Right. So I actually hadn't even fully come back, and I made people take pictures of me because I wanted to see and I wanted to reference, because my nursing brain was like, there's no way this happened.
Yeah.
But like, even my pupils were so big. Like, so much things changed about me. People have said, well, maybe a walk-in came in. My eye color went really blue. My voice changed an octave. My jawline changed. Like, even my dentist had said, like, your complete jawline changed. There's different things that changed about me that we noticed the next day. Now, going back to MS, the night when I went into CSU, so cardiac surveillance unit. So now I'm 38 years old in heart failure because of something that happened at work. And I had this awakening and this near-death experience that nobody wants to talk about, just the trauma of the actual experience. And people are coming to me. And all I wanted to say was, I saw my mom.
Yeah, that's right.
And like, I just wanted somebody to hug me and be like, she wanted you to come back because you got something to fulfill, babe, you know? So
Right.
no one could even, I don't know if it was that they wouldn't let me or if I wouldn't let myself talk about it, but they had to give me a lot of medication to fall asleep. And I had one-to-one nursing that night. They didn't think I was going to survive the night. And the nurse had said, like, you've had, she validated what I went through. And I said, I'm too afraid to close my eyes because if I close my eyes, I don't think I want to come back because you don't know what I saw. And it was heaven. It's not like how the movies portray it.
Yeah.
You know it's something else.
Yeah.
You just know. I
Yeah.
don't know how to describe. You just
Oh,
know.
yeah.
You
It's
know that it's
knowing.
so
It's the knowing.
beautiful and there's so much love and it's just so calming.
Yeah. It's the
So
like
they did have
Dr. Wayne Dyer said that. He said it's like a knowing. It's like seeing the whole picture instead of just a corner of the picture.
yeah,
Uh,
it's
we
and it's
usually
very
just a little bit of the picture, but when you have that experience, you see the whole thing, and then you're reduced back to that little corner again, and you're thinking, no, I don't want to be here. I want to see the whole picture again.
and it's really hard to adjust to that
Of
because not
course,
everyone's seen
of
that
course.
picture. And so you almost you gaslight yourself like, did I experience this? My nursing background, it's like, was it something because of my lack of oxygen? Did it cause any brain damage?
They've been
Did
saying
you
that for
go through all
years.
these
The
things?
doctors have been saying that for many, many years, but now they're starting to believe it's not. And
Well,
well,
and now because a few physicians, there's a few NDE books out there. There's a few physicians that have gone through it and they're like, wait a minute.
yeah, no,
Like
no, and
what I
they're still
experienced, you can't
investigating it.
describe it,
That's right. The
right?
Association of EANs are still investigating it. So
Mhm.
the Association of NDEs experiences. And they're still doing the process of investigation of exactly what it is, how
Yeah. Well,
what
and it's so
phases.
hard to fully describe
Yeah,
because there's elements for people to go through, but there's also because they've lived this life, so there's things they have to let go of
yeah,
or live through. And I think that's why that we come back is because there's things that we still have to like finish off.
yeah.
But yeah, the next day, I mean, the biggest thing, I mean, that was pretty big. That was pretty big.
That was pretty big, yeah.
But it was the next morning. And so normally I used to wake up every morning because I'd been so sick for so long
Yeah,
that I woke up and I did my regular, like laying on my side or like looking to the side. And I always looked for where the light was, like the morning sun. But this time I didn't have that black area, like, because I was partially blind in my left eye because of my multiple sclerosis and I could see. And then I was like, I can see. I'm not wearing my glasses. And it was like, and it was that moment where I can see, like just what you were saying, like that big picture. And then it was, oh, here's the goosebumps again. Ooh. But it was like I could see what was happening, like in the wall, between the wall,
yeah,
outside of the
yeah.
wall, beyond the sky. In like it was just all. And you're like, oh, I can see. So you're waking up by yourself in a very sterile room with all these pads and an oversized gown, having like this unbelievable moment. And then I wiggled my feet and I had no pain and I had strength. And I had like, we ended up doing an emergency MRI as well to
Yeah,
check my lesions. They checked everything.
yeah.
So 47 lesions and they were gone. They were gone. And my neurologist couldn't say why. And he goes, it could be the fact you were like a computer, unplugged and plugged back in, and you just rebooted. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's saying like all these things, like you're not cured, but we're gonna call you stable. And I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting in his office, like, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. And then finally I said, or I was in the hands of God and I got healed. I know how to heal. And he was like,
Sorry.
oh, or that. But maybe not. And I said, well, how do we know?
Yeah,
So I went a very long time without having any symptoms, but because of the chaos that I was living in my actual world, some of them came back until I could get that chaos out of my life. And then that's when I went into like my healing modality and whatnot. But there's so much even after the fact of my NDE of what happened. Like the first time I left the hospital, so I was in the hospital for 3 days. So this happened on a Thursday.
Right.
The Saturday night, the
Yeah.
cardiologist, I mean, he had like his chart in front of him. He wouldn't even look at me. No one assessed me. And he was like, okay, you can go home. And I'm like, hello, like, do you want to like maybe assess me? Like, why am I taking all this heart medication? I know I'm inert. Like, I know I'm in heart failure because of the amount of medication you're giving me. He didn't want to admit it. And then he wanted me back to work on Monday. And the CSU nurse said, and tapped him and said, like, this nurse died on Thursday. Like, I think she needs some time off. And he goes, well, I'll gift her a week off, but it shouldn't affect her. And I'm like, so I'm on oxygen. I'm in heart failure. So my ejection fraction, how my heart pumps the blood through my body, is working at 35%. Okay. The mental, emotional aspect, that's not going to affect you. Maybe the spiritual, no, you didn't experience anything. And so, but as a nurse, that's how I thought. Like, I can't even express this to anybody. So it actually took me a really long time to start talking about it. And it took me, after I had that year experience, like after the full year went by and the anniversary came, that's when I realized the experience. And so, I mean, that's in my book. The last chapter is that year experience and what happened. And it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And then my world changed, and it just keeps changing. But yeah, that first breath, when I'm outside in an environment and being outside in the great outdoors, but then knowing all.
Yeah.
And I don't like saying that because I'm not Jesus, I'm not God, I'm not,
No.
but just having that all. And it can be very frightening because you can feel the buds, you can all your five senses are activated on like buds, blades of grass, the wind, and you can hear people passing. So I worked for 6 months as a nurse. I only took a week off. No one wanted to talk to me about it. Everybody just wanted to pretend like it never happened, which was, I think, what caused PTSD for me. Was the aftermath, that everybody just, nothing happened to you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. And to me, it was an awakening. It wasn't like trauma like everybody else thinks it was. It was the aftermath.
Of course, from you.
Yeah, I left 6 months after, almost to the day of when it happened. And so it was the anniversary of my reboot, I call it. And I was in the same unit, and I was admitting this patient.
Right.
And somebody was walking past me.
Right.
And it happened again. Good morning, Julia. And I went to turn to say good morning, and all of a sudden, code blue, and the overhead went, and we both locked eyes, and it was the physician that gave me the wrong medication 6 months prior. And I hadn't seen him. Well, I'd seen him, but like this was that moment. And we both locked eyes, and we both leaned over, and we saw the bed, the stretcher that I was in. And so that stretcher is, it was spot 7. The stretcher was 13. And we looked at each other again, took a breath, and he goes, I'm so thankful you came back. And then walked away like nothing happened. And there was this moment in me, like, I'm sure you could probably think of some of the words that I wanted to say in that moment.
Yeah,
like,
you idiot.
Beep, beep, beep. And then, but I'm still a nurse, and I have to be professional in front of my patient. And I took all that emotion, and I just kind of pushed it to the side for a minute, and I gathered my composure, and I said, I said to my patient, I'm sorry, that just took my attention, because when there's a call overhead, we just have to make sure that if I have to run, because you're not emergency, like you're not in emergency situation right now. And she's like, no, that's okay. Oh, my ears started ringing because I'm remembering that to the T. And she goes, oh my God, you're the nurse that died here. And I went, what?
You're famous.
Yeah, and that's what she said. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, well, you're the Lilly Nurse. And so that name was given to me right after the code, because all of that chaos, all that emotion, all that, like, what, a nurse is allergic to lilies? Like, what? And it summed it up in 3 tiny little words. But to have that leave the hospital setting with a complete stranger, how on earth do you know that? And so this is rapid fire in my head, like a few other words are going through my head, like, how do you know this? And I'm trying to stay calm, and I'm trying to be like this like professional nurse. And I said, how do you know that? And she goes, everybody knows your story. It's incredible. And that was that moment. It hit me like that. And I went, people know a version of my story, but no one has ever asked me my story. And that's when I bowed out of nursing, and I went into my manager's office after, and I had said, like, I gotta piece out here. Like, I can't get better in a place that I got sick in. I'm actually getting a little bit bitter because all of you are living your life and I can't live what I need to do. And so I actually stepped away from nursing for a bit and went into a holistic journey, which is another conversation. I did go back into nursing for a while too, and brought those holistic components back into the world. So where I'm at now, here in the middle of Canada, so this is awesome because I'm talking to Spain, because I'm actually supposed to be there right now, because I was supposed to fly out to Europe on May 1st, but because I opened up my business, I'm in Canada right now.
Oh.
So this is like a blessing to me, because I'm like, oh, I still get a piece of Europe.
So, nothing is coincidence.
No. But yeah, so where I'm at right now is I'm just taking my nursing knowledge and I'm taking my holistic practice and I'm bridging the worlds together. Just like that moment of my awakening, when it's not one and the other. It's this choice to do both, because we are all seeking that, to become like heard, seen, supported in decisions that we need, because we're all just having this human experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's
never put better. We're just having a human experience. And I said this with Peter too, the other ND I interviewed not very long ago, that we're here to have experience, and that's it. That's it. Nothing else. And I said that it might sound harsh saying this. It doesn't matter if you live or you die, because this is just one part of a continuous life that we go and come back from. So we're eternal beings. We're eternal soul beings, and we come and go from here to have experience, and that's it. Nobody comes here to be evil, or nobody comes here to be a saint. Nobody comes here to be, I don't know, whatever. We come here to have experience, and that's it. And that's why we're here. We have a soul purpose.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. You and me right now, we're having that soul purpose. That's the way
we are. And I mean, even prior to us even doing this interview, when we started doing this interview, you and I were both talking about that, how when there's an ease to what you're doing, you're living your gift. You're living what your soul contract. You're living what you were supposed to be doing.
That flow. Yes. We were talking about it before, yeah. What Esther Hicks calls without rowing upriver.
It's the flow. And yeah, it's the flow of life. The flow. And I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It's about living that. But the first thing, you have to get to that point where you understand that. That's the problem. Understanding many things that you've talked about through your experience. The wholeness, first of all, that's the first thing. That everything's connected, everything is one. That oneness is really the base of every religion as well. That oneness. But it's overlooked too much for power, for fear, for division. And that oneness is the base of everything. Because once you understand that oneness, you love everyone the same, equally. Because you're looking further, you're looking further on than just what you're seeing in front of you. You're not seeing a white person or a black person or an Indian person or a Muslim or a Catholic or whatever. You're seeing a soul. You're seeing something more, much more than that.
Well,
So once you look
and
past,
it's so true. It's not even that you don't even see the person. You
no,
see their energy, you see
that's
their
right.
potential, you see them. You
That's right.
see them completely. And a lot of people don't have the ability to do that, or they don't have the ability to feel that within themselves,
Yeah,
you know? And even that is really hard when you can see potential in people, or you can see their light,
yeah,
but they live in the world of darkness. Because I mean, we all have done it where we dwell in certain things, and then it puts you in that perpetual spin of like this tiny, tiny little windstorm. And then you get out of it and you're like, oh, look at this world. Like, just like the stargazer. I mean, I was in that world. I needed to be reminded. Mind you, my experience was very dramatic, and maybe that's what I needed to wake me up and knock me off a path of being comfortable with an area that I was uncomfortable in. And
yeah.
I'm not saying that in nursing, but just the life that I was living was taking my life away. So are you living, or are
Mm,
you just existing?
mm,
Right?
that's right.
And so if you flip that around,
Yeah,
that yes, we are just existing, but we can live.
yeah,
With every breath we take, it's another like another contract, like, yeah, I still want to keep going.
that's right.
Yeah, I still want to be here. I can keep going. And you just like, let's do this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like getting to 80 years old and saying, I want to live 80 years, not 1 year, 80 times.
That would be horrendous, living the same day. I think they made a few movies about that.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a few books too of people who have interviewed elderly people who are in old people's homes, uh,
Mhm.
like last years of life living, and they interviewed, I don't know how many it was quite a few, and then 90% of them, their only regret in life was not doing what they wanted to do,
Yeah.
not doing things they wanted to do, and they could have done, and they didn't do it because they thought they
Yeah.
always
Well, I hear a lot of that because I used to work bereavement. So I used to work in long-term care facilities, and I was in charge of bereavement for many years. And when people are at that end stage of life, and you can tell a difference when they've lived a fulfilling life,
yeah,
that their family, they can start seeing their family and they're like, I want to go home because they fulfilled it.
yeah,
Other people are like, it's really dark and I regret so much, because their sole purpose is coming to an end. So you know that they're going to be coming back and trying to redo it
yeah, yeah,
different way.
that's right.
And I'm not saying that to change anybody's view, but it's what I've seen in both what I've experienced in my nursing and my nursing eyes, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's that knowing. It's that
It's the
knowing.
knowing.
Is especially when you get to a certain age, when you start saying, "Oof, I've lived much more years now than I have left, and so in that time I have to do what I haven't done." So you start thinking about things. I better get a move on. I better start doing things. I better start, going to that place I've always wanted to go, talking to that person I've always wanted to talk to. And that's why it saddens me also that there's so many families where people who haven't spoken to their brother or their sister for, I don't know, 20 years, or they say, I know we had an argument and he did this to me and she did that to me, and you haven't spoken for 20 years. What, something 20 you did 20 years ago, you're still not speaking to that person, and it's your brother or your sister? I mean, is it worth it?
I know it's hard. It's really hard to fathom. It's really hard to fathom.
It is. It's hard. It's hard. But anyway, as I said to most of my NDEs I've had on the program, I really envy what you've been through, what you've felt, and what you've seen, and
Mhm.
it's not the actual seeing what you've seen, but it's that feeling of unconditional love, and that knowing is what I'm really envious of. Because you can get near that, you can have a very high level of consciousness. You can meditate every day. You can study, and you can, talk to people like you, and you can understand it, but you can't feel it. You can't get to that level of feeling. So it's
Well,
one.
I like to tell people because there's a lot of people like have asked me, have you felt it coming back after you've experienced it? And so people just want to know what that feeling is, or even a fraction of it. And I always say, if you have a child, it's that first time when they come into this world and you look down into their eyes, like it's that inevitable, just this, I created you and you're going to create me. And that's that moment where you're just, you know, it's that split second, but that's very similar to what it's like. It's so much love. You can see their future. You can see it all in like that tiny little morsel that you're holding. I created you and you're going to create me.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful way of putting it too. Well, thank you very much for being here today. It's been a really good
Thank you for having me.
pleasure, and I love the way you explained it. The the whole thing, the whole experience from when you were little until the actual experience, and then after that, the emotion that you're still feeling when you're explaining it, and the intense feeling, the intense emotion that you're feeling. You can see it. I can see it when you're explaining it. The goosebumps and the lights and everything, and you give off yourself. You give off a lot of light the way you explain it, and you do. It's I can see it. Your energy is just pure. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll be back, and we'll have another conversation in the future.
Sounds beautiful. Thank you for contacting me. And yeah, many blessings to you, Peter. Thank you for holding a platform like this for people to share these stories.
Hopefully we'll have a lot more in the future.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, all you that are watching us from home also. We'll be back next week with another ND, and hopefully we're going to be here for a long, long time. Speak to you next week. Bye bye.